In this lesson, we're going to talk about integer operations. We're going to begin by talking about integer addition. Anytime you're working with integers, you're working with a number line. A number line is what you see up here in the right-hand corner. A number line consists of positive integers, is what you see in blue, going to the right, negative integers, which are in red, moving to the left, and then 0, that is the origin or where you begin the movement on the number line. So let's go ahead and review some of these integer addition operations. So the first question here says positive 10 plus negative 7. So if you're thinking about on a number line, this question you're going to begin at positive 10 and you're going to add negative 7, meaning you're adding 7 in the negative direction, which is going to lead us like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, ending at positive 3. That's technically what you're doing on the number line. All right, let me go ahead and erase this for the next one. All right, the next one here is 1 plus negative 5. So we're going to begin at 1, and we're adding a negative, meaning we're going to move in the left direction. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leading us to negative 4. So 1 plus negative 5 is negative 4. All right, negative 2 plus 5. Now this one's a little bit different. We're going to begin at negative 2 and we're going to add 5. So we're going to move in the positive direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leading us to positive 3. And the last one here, this one's a really cool one because it's two negatives. So negative 7 plus negative 3. So we're going to start at negative 7. And we're going to add negative 3. Well, adding a negative is really moving to the left. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, leading us down to negative 10. Another great way to think about this, this problem, negative 7 plus negative 3. Well, if I were to get rid of those negatives in front of the numbers, we would just have 7 plus 3. And 7 plus 3 is 10. So if you kind of think about it, if the numbers have the same operation as they do here, negative 7 and negative 3, they're going to essentially equal that same number, 10, but this time it's going to be negative. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at a word problem that uses integer operation using addition. So it says a submarine at 21 feet below sea level suddenly moves up about 9 feet. At what depth is the submarine located now? So if you think about it, the submarine is going to begin at 21 feet below sea level. So below means under the water. So that means we're going to be negative 21 feet below the water. And it suddenly is going to move up. Moving up means we're adding. So we're going to add 9 feet. So when we add those 9 feet, that's going to lead us to negative 12. So to answer the question, at what depth is the submarine located now, we are 12 feet below sea level. It wouldn't necessarily make sense to say, oh, we're negative 12 feet. Although technically you could say that if you wanted to. But a better way to say it is 12 feet below sea level. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at integer subtraction. We're still working with a number line. But this time, it just is a little bit different. Here we go, 8 minus 3. So 8 minus 3, if you think about it, we're just going to start at 8 on the number line, and we're going to subtract 3. That's pretty easy. That's going to give us 5. Okay, how about negative 2 minus 5? This is kind of a weird one. I'm going to actually use the number line to show you this one. I'm going to start at negative 2, and I'm going to subtract 5. So subtracting 5 means I'm going to move to the left 5 units. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leading us down to negative 7. All right, how about this one? 4 minus negative 6. This is a really unique one, and you probably remember seeing something like this. Anytime you have two negatives next to each other, a negative and a negative creates a double negative, which essentially creates a positive. I like to indicate it by actually connecting them and making a plus. So anytime you have a double negative, it's going to make a plus. So it's going to be 4 plus 6, and that's easy, that's 10. Okay, the next one, negative 2 minus negative 8. Again, we have that double negative. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the double negatives and make it a positive. Negative 2 plus 8. Let's go ahead and look at this one on the number line. I'm going to start this one at number 2 or -2. And I'm going to add 8, meaning I'm going to move to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, leading us up to +6. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at a word problem using subtraction. The temperature at 6 a.m. was -12 degrees Fahrenheit. At 3 p.m., the temperature was 32 degrees Fahrenheit. What was the change in temperature? So this one's talking about early in the morning, the temperature is pretty cold, I would say, -12 degrees Fahrenheit. And then as the day went on, we see that the temperature is rising. And we get to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the temperature is now 32 degrees Fahrenheit. We want to know, what was the change from the beginning of the day to the end of the day? So here's how we're actually going to set this up. I'm going to show you 2 different ways here. First thing I'm going to show you is a little number line. Let's say that we have our number line here, and we're beginning the day at -12. -12 is about there on the number line. And that's at the beginning of the day. At the end of the day, we're going to be somewhere over here, right? Because that's +32 degrees Fahrenheit. We want to know what's the change in temperature from here to here. So let's first just go ahead and break it from here to here. The temperature change from 3 p.m. to 0, from 6 a.m. to this 0 right here is just going to be 12, right? Because the temperature is always going to be a positive number. And then the change from here to here is 32. So what we can do is add them together. And then we add those together, 12 plus 32, that's going to give us 44 degrees Fahrenheit. Now that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is using subtraction. So let's take our highest degree, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and subtract the lower degree. Now you got to be very careful here, because by subtracting the lower, you're actually doing that double negative thing, right? Minus a negative. So if we have a minus a negative, that's actually going to create a positive. So 32 plus 12, again, is 44 degrees Fahrenheit. So 2 ways to do that. One using those order of operations, and another using a number line. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at our last 2 operations, and that's multiplication and division. So the thing to know about multiplication and division is when you're multiplying or dividing numbers that have the same signs, meaning they're both positive or both negative, that means you're going to have a positive number all the time. For example, look at this first one. 3 times 4. Well, I have 2 positive numbers. That means that my answer is going to be a positive number. The next one, -5 times -2. You can see both of them are negative numbers. So if they're both negative, that means my answer is going to be positive. I also know that 5 times 2 is 10. So my answer is also going to be 10. -8 divided by -4. I have 2 negative numbers and I'm dividing. That means it's going to be a positive number, +2. -4 times -5. Well, 2 negative numbers, that's going to give me a +20. 25 divided by 5. I have 2 positive numbers and I'm dividing them. That means I'm going to have a +5. All right. The next one is very similar here. You can see -48 divided by -6. That's going to give us a positive number, and that's going to give us a +8. You can see the same pattern worked in all 6 of these problems. Now, here's the other one. Now we're working again with multiplication and division, but this time the signs are different. One's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. So when you have that case, the answer is always going to be negative. -2 times 3. Notice I have a negative number and a positive. That means I'm going to have a negative answer. 77 divided by -11. I have a positive and a negative and I'm dividing them. That means I'm going to have a negative number. -6 times 5. That's going to give me -30. -24 divided by 3. I have a negative divided by a positive. That's going to give me a -8. All right, you can see that the same pattern is working here each time. So 2 times -7, well, I have a positive times a negative, so that's going to give me -14. 32 divided by -8, that's going to give me -4. All right. Now that we've done all of the operations, I do want to do 2 more word problems, one with multiplication and one with division, just to kind of show you how it works. On Tuesday, the temperature changed at a rate of -2 degrees Fahrenheit per hour. how long did it take for the change in temperature to be negative 18 degrees Fahrenheit? So for this one, we're actually going to be using, let's use multiplication for this one. Actually, we could use division for this one, but either way. So we want to know that negative 2 times what number is going to give us negative 18. So we kind of have to think about it. And in this case, the answer is going to be 9, because negative 2 times 9 gives us negative 18. So it says, how long did it take for the change in temperature to be negative 18? Well, it took us 9 hours. You could have also used division for this problem. You could have said negative 18 divided by negative 2 equals positive 9, because we know that a negative number divided by a negative number gives us that positive number. Okay, the last one here. Maggie bought candy for her friends at the candy store and owes the clerk $35. If each of her 5 friends help her pay off her debt, how much money will each friend owe her? Well, we know that she spent $35. And we know that she has 5 friends. So if we divide the $35 by her 5 friends, that'll end up being a positive number divided by a positive number, which is going to give us positive 7. So that means that each of her friends owes her $7 to pay for the candy. Another way you could have looked at this is you could have said that the debt was $35, so it was negative 35. And you could have divided it by 5, and it would have given you negative 7. Now, what that would mean is each of her friends would be in debt $7. So either way that you look at it, your final answer needs to look something like this. Her friends each owe her $7. All right, that brings us to the end of our lesson on the review of integer operations.